My name is Shawn. Welcome to the AMA. So I'm a senior partner engineer at Unity. I'm a customer engagement engineer. I've been using Unity for over 14, 15 years, been with Unity for 5. And here are my teammates just coming up. Here's Jeff Royal and Michelle Lim. You want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jeff.
Yeah. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Is there a slide for me, or did you just have your own slide?
There's no slide for you, dude.
I don't even have a slide. Clearly, I am not important. I'm a senior client partner at Unity. I cover the core products of our engine, support, services, things like that, and then overall account management for developers of all sizes. So yeah, any needs, I'm basically a main point of contact to connect the smart people like Shawn and Michelle, who just gave her name away. So yeah, that's me. I just do whatever I want to.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle. I'm from Singapore. Been in Unity for 2.5 years now, and my main job scope would be a human API. So I connect the studios to everyone within Unity, and I try my best to connect to the 4,000 to 5,000 people that we have globally. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we wanted to maybe give some context in case of where Unity is at before jumping into the AMA maybe. So as you guys probably know, Unity 6 just released yesterday, and it was a huge bunch of resources that's made available. So a lot of these things that I have here, they're things that you can look up online, and they're kind of the highlights of Unity, right? All more optimal rendering, better graphics, better support for light probes and all that. So you've seen this, in our marketing blurbs from time to time again, GPU occlusion culling. So I'm not going to go through all of them, right? So just like a quick slide of what they all do. URP render graph, GPU skinning, all to do like optimizing graphics. Ray tracing API is now production ready as of Unity 6. You now have a better way of laying out light probes with adaptive probe volumes, so it makes your workflow much easier. Now deeper support for mobile web runtimes. This means a lot of things. Support for WebAssembly 2023. So we have official support for all mobile web browsers now. Tons of changes to 2D, Unity 2D. I recommend checking out all the Unite slides that we have. AI has, in Unity, has expanded in both create time and runtime AI. We have a runtime AI called Unity Centis that is also production ready as of Unity 6 now, so do check that out. This slide here, this video showcases like what you can do with it. We've trained basically a neural network to understand how to deform the vertices of this character's clothing based on his skeletal poses. And yeah, there's a bunch of other things, including productivity enhancements like a Muse agent to run certain workflows within Unity with an LLM. And also like sprite enhancers, upscaling, recoloring, pixelation, and removing background. Multiplayer also has been expanded, right? You have a multiplayer play mode, which if you are familiar with multiplayer and running multiple instances while developing using parallel sync, this is our answer to that. You can run multiple instances of the game. So just play amongst basically yourself just for quick iteration and testing. Right. So I also like to mention some honorable mentions of features that you don't really see in like marketing highlights. These are less fancier features, but yeah, they're super good, personally, to put it in my own words. Piercing selection menu. For those of you who develop in Unity, very often, right? If you might have experienced the pain of clicking multiple times to get the object you want because invisible bounding boxes are in the way. Now you can just hold command or control and right click to get a drop down of all the things that you raycast through. So you can pierce through all the bounding boxes to get a drop down of the object you want to select. So it's like one of the best things that we've added that's not in any fancy marketing material that we have. It's all in the release notes. And I tell my teammates all the time that reading the release notes is my bedtime reading material. oh, this is in the engine now. Great. There's another one that's not on this slide because it's a bit hard to show, but you can now also control any camera in the scene view. Like you assume the camera in first-person mode and just move it to realign the camera rather than having to press a button to align camera to view. You also have build profiles now, so you can separate builds. Let's say you have a Windows build for Steam and just a standard Windows standalone build. You can create multiple profiles for that, and that lets you choose also selected scenes per build profiles, or also selected scripting defines per build profile. So just that, so you can vary the environments based on your target build that you want to build for. There's a lot of rendering, debugging improvements. One of my favorites would be the mid-map streaming. Debug views, this lets you preview on your game camera how dense a particular texture map is for an object in relation to how far it is from the camera, so it lets you optimize to get the texture size just right. And Pro Builder is more integrated to the scene view now. You now have a scene context toggle. So if you right-click on whatever object you're currently selecting in the scene view, it will give you a context-sensitive drop-down of what you can do to those objects. And it's also integrated with the scene view overlay. So you know, if you use Pro Builder, you no longer have to have an additional dock for Pro Builder tools. It's all integrated within the scene view. So yeah, all the tools are available as an overlay or just a contextual right-click. Shader Graph also now has color heat maps to tell you which nodes are expensive to use. And a lot of more minor highlights here and there. I super recommend checking out the release notes for all the minor additions. So some simple things as having a use default button for asset bundles. This is just so that your settings are more catered to if your asset bundles are meant to be loaded locally. If you're loading asset bundles from a remote repository, for example, then these settings would be different. But otherwise, if you're just developing locally and just loading asset bundles from your build, then you just want to check use defaults. And since it's released, since Unity 6 has been released yesterday, all the demos that we've been showcasing all this while throughout the last 2 years, they are now free to download and for you to benchmark on your own devices. We've managed to get the Fantasy Kingdom project working on even an iPhone, so you can test it yourself to run it on mobile device with all the new fancy features. So even the time ghost characters showcases the Sentis, cloth deformation is released. And the time ghost environment also showcases how you can use dots for instancing all the objects on your terrain. Right? Yeah, that's a quick recap of what's in Unity 6 and all the small things that I really love to highlight. And we'll open it to the floor to ask us anything. Yes, Mike. With the UI, I don't think so. Yeah, that's something I haven't tested, but I think it would. I think it would, right? Because typically it would be the first thing that you end up selecting because the canvas also lives in the world. Right? I think you could. Anyone else? Yes.
Is it working?
Testing? Sweet. When building out of Unity, shader compile time is the bane of my existence. Do you know where that data is stored and if I can keep it?
Yeah, so if you're doing, so that's when it generates shader variants, right? To really call that, there is an API that you can use to call the keywords. So to approach this, I would recommend downloading a package called a project auditor. You can actually look it up on GitHub. So it's an internal tool that we use to kind of audit your project. there is a tool inside there for you to kind of list out the shader variants that you use for your project. So what you would do is just follow the steps to log the shader compilation, build it one time, and you'll have to go through that one cycle of pain of building it first, which would take you maybe an hour or two. Play the game, play through all your scenes that use all your shaders and materials, and it will spit out a player log, which can drag back into the project auditor, and it'll show you all the shaders that you actually do use, the variants that you actually do use. And from there, you would list out all the keywords you want and use this shader preprocessor API to cull out whatever variants that you don't need. Yeah, then that should clean it up a lot better. Otherwise, if you want to keep it simple, there is an asset in the asset store called Shader Control, which I do recommend. It lets you filter out keywords that you don't want. But the downside of that is it does, for that particular asset, is it does edit, it will write to and modify the existing shaders in your project, so it's a bit destructive in a way. Yeah, so something to keep in mind. I hope that helps. Anyone else?
Hi. Do you have a timeline for when UI Toolkit will be production ready?
It is production ready for the editor.
For the runtime?
For runtime, it is also production ready as far as I know. I'm not really well versed in UI Toolkit, but I know there are a lot of wish lists that developers want for it. And unfortunately, most of them, things like, I guess, world-spaced 3D UI, it's not going to be within the Unity 6 generation. Yeah, so it's going to be in the next version.
I'm more thinking about like the data bindings.
The data bindings. The data bindings should be production ready already. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
We found we had a huge performance issues with the Unity animator until because we had thousands of objects in the scene with animators on them, and they all run update. Yep. So we had to roll our own animation component using Unitask. I was wondering if there's any more work being done on that side of the engine to create more lightweight solutions for basic animations.
For basic animations, we still do recommend you use the animation component because it has less overhead. So if you're just doing simple UI animations, that would be the way to go rather than using an animator. But right. Are you talking about, are you also talking about large-scale multi-instance character animation?
Or more like hundreds of devices and things with little switches that move and stuff.
Oh,
like
little
that.
switches that move. Yeah, ideally you just use something like DoTween or just the simple animation component.
Yeah.
Because the animator component has an idle state that loops, and that will also add some overhead to your CPU.
Thanks.
This one behind?
Oh, okay. Just shout. I'm wondering, how's the visual scripting coming along, and the new interpreted backend for it, so it's quick enough to use?
Yeah, visual scripting is not going to be as performant as your C# scripting, because it's the visual scripting solution that we have is still JIT, right? It's just-in-time compiled, so yeah, you still not have the same level of performance there. But as far as I know, there hasn't been any improvements to visual scripting for Unity 6. It's still the same separate package.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sad.
The one in the back.
What was the question? Sorry. Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
So my question is regarding the entity component system. Is Unity 6 going to be a good time to invest in fully switching over to that workflow, or?
Oh yeah, we don't see people, you don't see devs switching fully to ECS. ECS is meant to be like a targeted solution to a very specific problem, so you wouldn't use ECS for the entire project.
Right. Because I recall reading from some resource that there was an intention to eventually switch away from mono behavior entirely to like dots or ECS or whatnot. Is that not the case anymore? Or?
Right, so the way we intend it to be for Unity 6, we see developers still mixing normal game objects and ECS, but Unity 7, the next generation of Unity would be performance by default, which is the end goal. So you would code as you would normally code and just gain the benefits of whatever ECS offers you. That is the dream. That
just one more question regarding the Unity Asset Store for developers that are making like third-party solutions for you say like a GPU light mapper or something like that. Is there any current or intended changes in policy regarding creating for the Unity Asset Store that we should be aware of?
No.
So it's pretty much the same as previously? All right,
same as previously.
Yeah. Sorry, you're done. Any more questions? Yep.
Hi, so you showed some of Unity 6's like key highlights that weren't necessarily shown in the showcase. Are there any features from previous versions of Unity that you would recommend that aren't really used by developers?
That's a good question. So there's a feature called custom play mode with no domain reload that would speed up jumping into like iteration time. So if you go to player settings under editor, there's a feature called custom play mode. If you turn on, there's two other options at the bottom. So there's two more ticks. So you need to leave both of that off. One is domain reload and one is scene reload. If you leave those off, you can jump into play mode a lot faster, like scary faster. But you do need to know that because there's no domain reload, all your static variables will persist from one play session to another. So you need to make sure you clear those. So the way you code has to also adapt to how that works. Yeah, but some weird things can still happen. So if you do find some oddities in your play mode, you want to just turn that off. Yeah.
Cool. Just run around to you.
Sales question, so that the sales peeps can answer it.
Question over here. Yeah. Cool.
Hi. There's some amazing features coming down the pipeline in Unity 6. I'm just curious if you have any recommendations around upgrading existing projects. Is there like a state in the project that you would say it's fine to migrate to Unity 6, or is it just keep using Unity 20, whatever you're on?
So I personally have been upgrading to every version of Unity from 2018 to Unity 6. The only upgrade guide would be for if you're moving from built-in render pipeline to Unity 6. There is some documentation around URP 2022 to Unity 6, but that's only if you do really custom work on the scriptable render passes. So we have a little bit of change in that with the addition of the render graph. But otherwise, there shouldn't be a lot of changes. The biggest change, I would say, is if you're moving from 2021 to 2022. If you haven't done that already, there's a change in how our navigation navmesh works. We've changed it from, we've kind of forced it from being a scene-based navmesh to component-based, which gives you a lot of flexibility and modularity in how you build navmeshes. But otherwise, everything is pretty straightforward. If you do run into any API issues that's deprecated, it would tell you in your IDE itself, hey, this is obsolete. Try using this instead. So upgrade process is pretty self-guided within the editor itself. There's some minor bugs here and there in the way that it works would be maybe some collider offsets potentially because of some additional features that we've added to colliders.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Any more? Oh, yeah. Cool.
So the relay game service with join codes, I've seen discussion on the forums about the possibility of custom, like a custom alphabet for creating join codes, but that was a few years ago. Do you know if there's still plans to eventually implement that?
So the question is custom join codes, right? Right? Yeah, I don't think that's not in the plans at the moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Any more questions? Yep, one here.
My question's kind of specific, but is there any plans to add some sort of preloading or like thrash prevention to the addressable system? Because we have some issues with like unloading an asset, then loading it again like a couple frames later, and things like that. It's mentioned in the docs, but it doesn't say how you might approach solving that problem.
You want to take the addressables question?
Hi. Sorry. I'm Jianwei. I'm an engineer on the engine support team, so we help customers with engine-related problems. So addressables is a very big topic amongst all developers. I think that it is a very powerful system, but there are a lot of quirks around it, and each product is a different situation. So in this case, this particular problem you've described about addressables is quite common. So what you need to understand is that when an asset is requested, the bundle is loaded, and then the specific asset is loaded from the bundle. But very specifically, you can't unload any assets from the bundle until the entire bundle can be unloaded. So one particular thing that we've noticed is that some developers do not really fine-tune how their addressable groups are configured. So one specific thing that I've highlighted to my customers is that not only do you need to take into account when these assets need to be loaded together, you should also consider when they can be unloaded together, because once all the assets in the bundle are no longer required, you can unload the entire bundle. So grouping is something very important. So I think that maybe that's something you can look at. And one particular change that came in to 2019.4 and onwards that many long-time Unity developers are not aware of is that there's no longer like an internal cache overhead for bundle loads. It used to be that every bundle we will keep a cache in memory. So if you have many, many small bundles, that overhead starts to build up. So since 2019.4 and onwards, we've changed that so that all bundles use a pool cache. So you should not be worried about having like smaller bundles. In fact, one advice that I often give is that if you are unaware or you're unsure like how to group your bundles, it is always a good idea to go with smaller bundles. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
So up in the slides, just to elaborate on culling shader variants, this would be API you would use to, and once you've identified the keywords that you want to cull, then you just have a script in an editor folder, and when you build, it would run through this process and cull whatever keywords that you don't want. Yeah. So I've seen on my own personal project, this has cut down like a build process from 4 hours to about 10 seconds. Yeah, just minor improvements.
Is it on now? All right, cool. Any more questions? Yeah, same person again. Here you go.
Hi again. Something that I'm looking forward to is having specific assembly reloads, not an entire domain reload. Is that in Unity 6 now? And if not, do you know when that might be becoming available?
assembly reloads would just be, are you talking about assembly definitions? Yeah, that would still be the only way to separate, the domain reloads. There's no change to Unity 6.
Okay. Yeah, because my understanding is that when the domain reloads, all the assemblies reload as well, even if they haven't changed. And we have quite a few assemblies.
There shouldn't be, unless there's the dependencies all around. Right? Even if there are dependencies, if there's no changes, they shouldn't reload.
Okay, cool. That's great then.
Is that something you've encountered in the support ticket? No?
No.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't reload.
It shouldn't.
That's the point of assembly definition.
If you have a use case to demonstrate a problem, we're very happy to hear about it.
I just thought that was a problem.
Okay. There could be something weird going on there, because that's not how it's supposed to work.
I just want the game to start faster.
Admittedly, I'm still kind of just playing around with it at the moment, but I have a question regarding netcode. Netcode and game objects, or netcode and entities. So a hot topic of conversation for a while now has been rollback netcode, implementing it for 3D games specifically. A long-standing limitation for that has been the non-deterministic nature of Unity physics and the general dependency on floating point precision maths in Unity. Is there any roadmap or interest in pursuing or addressing that?
Yes, the target for that. There is no deadline for that, but
there is
determinism is something that the team is looking at.
Ah, awesome. Yeah. That was it.
That is the next immediate goal for netcode.
Cool. Any more questions? Pretty quiet. Do you want to talk about how cool Unity is and how performant it is?
Sorry, come again?
Yeah, it seems like there's no questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a technical question. It's still an AMA, so it could be anything under the sun, RTF, the runtime fee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want it back?
Well, what state are you guys at with runtime fees?
There's a question there, right?
Oh, okay, I'll go with you. Yeah.
So, in one of Blender's recent updates, they've kind of redone the entire themes system, and I can make Blender Barbie pink. Do you plan on doing anything like that for Unity? Can we customize the colors of our engine?
No, but you can tint the play mode still. That's been around since the beginning. Yeah, but there's no plans to do custom editing. Yeah, color templates.
I got a question about the Unity gaming services and the authentication system. And it's possible to give or to assign a name to a player, and that's a unique name. But as far as I'm aware, that's only ever consumed by the leaderboards API and the friends API. I'm just wondering, I know this is a very specific question, but is there any plans to make that accessible from other services? Because my specific use case for trying to find players by name for moderation and for other purposes, it's really difficult to. We know the name we're giving somebody from the client side, but from the back end, it's really hard to find that player.
It's been a while since I've used UGS, especially authentication. But the way UGS has always been designed is to be engine agnostic. So you don't have to be on Unity to use UGS. So there are web APIs as well that you can call. If there are missing functionalities, feel free to reach out to us and we can feed that back to the team.
Yeah, another question here.
Continue on the color thing. Is there any way I can color code the folders? Because it's really hard to find it. I think I'm not sure about Photoshop, but the Clip Studio, the art program made in Japan, does offer that. Is there any plan to do that?
There's no plans to color code a folder, though there are asset stores that do that. I can see that they're quite popular, but you can favorite a folder by their names, or I would advise also actually just using the search tool. So we do have a search tool in Unity that works similar to the Mac OS's Spotlight, which is really good. You can filter and save your searches as well. So if you do a scenes, for example, that would just give you a list of scenes. So instead of having to go into your project to find scenes, you can save that as a saved search. So you filter by only the things that you want. I'd say that's a better workflow.
Any more questions? Anyone else? Yeah, one here. Oh, here first.
Sure. So obviously, a big point around Unity for the past, I guess, year or so has been the runtime fee stuff. And a lot of developers who use Unity feel that their trust in the engine has been broken. Do you guys have plans going forward to try and rebuild that trust so people can feel confident that they can keep using Unity to make games?
Yeah, so I'd say that the move towards building trust has already begun, throughout the past year. Right? If you look at the news that's happening internally within Unity, a lot of the leadership that guided us through the runtime fee has changed. Right, so we've already we've actively been changing our leadership internally to something new, and we've always been constantly talking to our developers to see what they want. So I think internally we ourselves have been feeling that change for the better, and you can see the sentiments from the developers of what we're building, what's gone into the engine, and what's gone into our policies of late has been quite positive. Yeah? So I think we're getting there. Hopefully people are on board with us and see what has changed. And I think a lot of people forget that in Unity, it's majority engineers and engineers who were developers themselves. So we're also quite vocal internally about the things that are happening. Sometimes we might not have been able to get that communication across on time, which is what happened with the runtime fee, unfortunately. But yeah, a lot of us are also advocates for our developers, because we are developers ourselves. So I think, have faith that we want what's best for our users.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll add on to that. So we're right there with you in that respect. Leadership really lost the trust of the employees, and over the last year, if you've seen it, some of it's been public, some hasn't. The entire leadership team is gone. It's gone. If you had a C in your title, you don't work the company anymore, basically, and even more than that. So that was something that was important to build our trust. And now, as Shawn mentioned, and I think if you ask any of us, we're all feeling a lot more optimistic. We have a lot more freedom, and we're able to go and do things like come to New Zealand that we haven't done in numbers of years, right? That's something that was important to us, is getting back out in the community and talking to you guys and listening to what you have to say, features that are missing, problems you've had just communication-wise with us, all those things. We're at a point where we want to take that in and just improve it. And so we're in it together, to kind of say, is a term that we had, I think, internally there for a bit. It really is true. We're part of the community, as Shawn mentioned. And for myself, I'm an account manager. I'm the face of the company when it comes to developers, and you're kind of a first point of contact in many cases. So I want to hear from you. I can't relay problems and work on it and come up with ideas and solutions if I don't work with you. So that's what we want to do, is just get out here and work alongside you guys. So yeah, we were pretty surprised by runtime fee as well last year. That was, I think we had about 2 weeks notice on our team as salespeople. A lot of the company didn't even know until the day it went out. And that's what really destroyed a lot of trust. We had given so much feedback. We basically said almost the exact same things that everybody else did, save a few extra cases that were beyond our visibility. So that's something like we are part of that, and we want to just let you know, like, don't be afraid to talk to us about it. Whether that's the lingering effects of it, because we did see people that went and tried to use other engines, and now they're coming back saying, well, you broke my trust. I know the engine, but how do we get there? And it's just conversation, I think. So, yeah.
I also want to add on, like, after all, we are like the first line of defense, and what you're feeling is exactly what we are feeling as well, and we get it firsthand. And a lot of times we always ask for uncensored version of those feedbacks, and we literally gather a document, and we kind of like state, Studio ABC, this person is saying this, and we kind of like gather all of that and kind of like bring up to the management as well. So I think that is very important. Like, however you're feeling.
275 pages.
Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly why we are here. I'm not sure how many of you know, but we just ran a Unity Developers Day like 3 days ago, and that was made available publicly as well. So we'll try to give an advance notice in the future. But yeah, we'll definitely love to see all of you. This is exactly why we're here, and we just want to make ourselves available. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome that you document feedback. I didn't know you do that, so it's really good to have the actual data there.
I would actually love to return a question. I would really like to know how you guys feel about RTF as well.
Especially,
and now that it's been cancelled, yeah.
Yeah, especially the unfiltered feedback, right? Very interesting.
We have one at the back first.
Yeah, someone at the back first, did you say?
Yeah.
Matt?
That's you.
Don't be shy.
Back. Okay. I had a question about Unity Audio. It's kind of been in the same state for a very long time. Unreal have a team that develops their in-engine audio system, and they're building on it. Is there a parallel to that at Unity, or are we just going to be stuck with a very shallow implementation of Fmod?
There was a long time ago, at least like a year or two. I've seen there's something experimental going on there, but it's been a while since I've had visibility of that. Yeah, I can take a quick peek later and let you know off the stage.
Yeah, we have to. I've written thousands of lines of code for various wrapper classes to implement things like fade-ins and concurrencies and all the stuff that we need in a modern audio engine. It would be nice to have a bit more functionality there, either that or exposing some more of what Fmod does, so we can access it in C#.
Yeah, totally understand. Yeah.
I'd love to get your contact. Yeah, so to continue that conversation.
Okay, I'll talk to you afterwards. Thanks.
One of the things that I think is quite difficult with Unity is that we wind up getting quite a lot of tech demos, and as most people know, when you're making games, tech demos don't necessarily translate very well to production titles. I'm wondering whether or not Unity has any plans to actually make a game or games with your tech, because it would go a long way to reassuring us that you do actually know what it's like to be devs and to try to get something to market that has to make money.
Yeah, there's no plans to make actual games within Unity, but do you guys?
There's discussions about these kinds of things all the time. Is dogfooding the engine and having our own game to do that. The closest thing I've seen is that the Mega City Metro demo. Really, that's a fully playable demo, but it's 64 players.
But it's unlikely that we build a commercial game.
Yeah.
We're good at telling you how to make money, but we don't do it ourselves.
Yeah, I think a few years ago, or maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, there was a big kind of like, for every kind of feature, there would be a demo, and there would be like more of a kind of, here it is being used in a real world kind of like production environment. And those sort of seem to also disappear over the last year or so. So getting those back would be really helpful.
Do you have an example of a specific game demo that?
I'd have to go back and look what we were doing back then. So, but yeah. It's just something that I think would be really useful.
I remember we used to have a team that built a game of
the Giga
yes.
project.
I think that was brought up many times as well within Unity, but there's no updates on how that is going to go.
Yeah, the other thing to potentially add to that is we do have a professional services team that does co-development and has actually done full development. Some games like Nancy Drew were completely done by our team. And that team now actually sits on the engine team as well. So everything they're encountering is feedback directly into their teammates on the engine side of things. So that's a recent change, that move there. But yeah, there's a lot of experience on that professional services team from both quick strike teams to go in and fix specific things, but also do full development work, the whole gamut. So it's behind the scenes. We haven't wanted to be the name like, oh, we're going to go buy a Unity made game. That's not something that's been a goal of ours. But as I said earlier, everything's changing, and a lot of these ideas are being brought up and discussed again to evaluate whether it makes sense, and hearing the feedback like, hey, that might inspire confidence. That's something that adds value to that as well. Kind of maybe
might get Unity Fortnite at some point. We might get Unity Fortnite at some point.
I don't think we're going to make a Fortnite version.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jeff, because even though we don't make our own games, we do work with developers to deep dive into your own projects yourselves. So we've engaged with a lot of developers strategically to just understand their core problems, and that gets feedback to the engine team and packages as well.
Is that the sort of thing that you can make more public? Because, it's one thing that if you're like a bigger studio, or you're already a successful studio and you get a lot of integration with Unity and there's a lot of behind the closed door stuff that goes on that no one knows about. But if you can make that public and be like, hey, we've been working with these guys and we've been helping them get this stuff, I think that goes a long way as well to demonstrating the fact that you are in it for the developers and for the industry, and that you are building an engine that answers the problems and the questions that actual developers have.
Yeah, there's some things that we do like that, case studies, blog posts, things like that. I wouldn't say that there's a clear path on that in terms of when we would do certain announcements or things like that. And some of it as well is up to the partner, right? If it's their IP, we obviously have to make sure it's cleared through their legal. And if you work with big companies' legal departments, that can be a in and of itself. But yeah, those are things that we talk about all the time, and especially on my team and Michelle's teams, we're constantly talking about case studies and discussions with the developers. We haven't done so much of that with our internal team just because it feels self-promoting, right? But it is that's a whole I even noticed. So I've only been with the company a year and a half, and when I came in, that was a surprise to me, is that we didn't say more about what we were doing in those scenarios. So yeah, it's possible. We're having a lot more discussions with those teams, like the Made with Unity team, as well as our community team, to identify what's an interesting story and what can be told. So I'll just keep taking this feedback and talking to them like, hey, this is something that we haven't talked about, our professional services team, and how we've done this work directly as Unity. That's a good point to take back to them.
Cool.
I want to say a lot of the things, like great things that we do, they are all NDA and we can't talk about it at all. So
yeah, we have to wait until they go out.
Yeah, we'll be more than happy if you're willing to let us share about it. But yeah, there's so many things that we can't talk about it. Like so many great titles, great projects, we just can't publicize.
Yeah, so we're often told by the previous leadership that our users don't care if we make games. So I'm just wondering if we can see a show of hands, like who wants Unity to make a commercial game? It's everyone. Yeah.
No.
Keep your hands up.
Ask the same question again.
What should we make? Yeah.
Who here wants to see Unity make a commercial game? See?
Anybody?
Okay, throw a genre. Like, what do you want?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's a good question. It was actually one of my questions as well, so thanks. We'll go with you.
You've mentioned some stuff around relationship management and talking with teams. I'm just wondering, is there a pathway for that to happen? Like I run a small studio of just a handful of developers, and it seems like when we want specific help around, say, licensing or that kind of stuff, it's like we have to go through the formal communication channels. But what you're describing around, like, hey, we talk with these teams and we do this and we do that, like how do we get involved with that?
Yeah, there's a few different paths there. So I'm on a managed account team. So for me, I happen to have a lot of the larger companies like the Microsofts and Niantics of the world, and I have a few indies that are just friends of mine. We do have others that work very much with the indie scene, and we don't have enough people to cover everybody. But the biggest part of it is, for us anyways, is getting our names out there, and especially down here is a big deal for us. We don't have any on the ground employees, unfortunately, so we want to be here. And it's literally as you see me, I'll give you my card, and you hit me up. And the hope is word of mouth spread around. Hey, this is the Unity guy. Whether or not I'm the one who's long term going to support you, that remains to be seen, but there's definitely people that I can make sure you're talking with, get the questions answered. I'll always answer an email that's sent to me. That's something that I've always done. So other than that, there's the forums that people go to, and it's monitored, but then it's a much longer path. It sounds like you've kind of experienced that, where you may ask a question and it sits in a queue and you don't know when you're going to get an answer. So yeah, it is something we need to address a little bit better. We've talked about specifically focusing on indies and building a team that focuses on that, and then even regional. So we're in a bit of a rebuild phase. I'm sure you saw earlier this year, we unfortunately lost about 25% of our colleagues, and that hurt a lot, including this region. So that's why it was important for me to come down. I had another colleague who decided to go on vacation, so she's not here today. She's enjoying your country. But yeah, we're trying to get out here more and just solve some of those problems by being visible.
So we have about 2 minutes. Time for a few more questions. Yeah.
Related to that topic, seems like, again, a lot of the resources seems to be locked behind having some sort of relationship manager. So if you're indie, you don't have visibility to that. And we don't know to even ask for it because we don't know that it exists. For example, I was talking to somebody and they mentioned that out of the blue, they got funding to get Unity engineers to actually do a deep dive to look at their project and give them specific feedback. And they happened to get it because finally someone told them, hey, this source of funding exists. So my question is, how do indie studios find that out?
Well, within New Zealand, I think right now there is the GDSR that's kind of like providing that support and getting that resources and connection. I think having to be acquainted and closely like connect with NZGDA definitely helps quite a fair bit. You've got I think, great touch point with those few areas. I think you should be well covered. But of course, don't feel shy about like reaching out to us directly as well. If there's anything that we can't do, we'll definitely say. But I think for most of us here, I'm pretty sure that we'll be more than happy to kind of like help and advice from here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll build on that because you brought up a good point. One of the things that I've done last year and this year that was important to me was get connected with both the governmental and the industry teams. So, the NZ On Air, the NZGDA, Code is another one, right? I wanted to make sure that they know who I am, specifically for reasons like that. If there's any questions about Unity, they know how to reach me. In planning our dev day, as well as coming here, that this wouldn't have been possible without those teams. I was on the other side of the world. I'm in Dallas, Texas. That's almost as far away, I think, as you can get from here. And, I had to rely heavily on Joy from NZGDA to help with the dev day, and then again for being here today. So, yeah, it's not the ideal solution. I'd rather that we had somebody here that you could see locally at everything, but that's just not the case right now. So the best I can say is just work with those organizations in some capacity, even if it's just asking them a question, who do we talk to at Unity? And they'll probably point you to one of us, and then we'll make sure that you've got the right points beyond that, depending on your topics. Hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, thank you.
There's one more question right here.
Cool. Okay, we'll squeeze in one more question, and that'll be the last one. Here you go.
So at uni, we do a lot of like very quick game projects. And so I'm often on the Unity asset store just looking for some 3D assets that I can quickly chuck in my project. I've found that a lot of them, the artist that has published them has labeled them as game ready, and then you actually put them in the game and they are in fact not game ready. Their pivots are all over the place. They've got weird scales. Do you guys have any plans on possibly implementing like some form of moderation for that? Maybe an official like, we've tested this, it is actually game ready, or like, we've tested this, it's definitely not. Are there any plans for something like that?
I think there's already some sort of moderation in place in like QA checks for all the assets that we have, and probably those that slip through the cracks, it's probably just a matter of resources that we have, because I have heard from developers, asset store developers complain about Unity being strict on the assets. So it's I guess it's a balance. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in that scenario as well, if you are encountering that, again, just reach out and let us know, because there are a lot of assets out there. Some of them might be even just dated. You know, they haven't got an update for a number of years, and we can potentially look into that and find out that, you know, hey, this developer is no longer developing. It doesn't work with current versions or whatever. So those are things like, you know, we aren't going back constantly testing every single asset with every single release and things like that. So yeah, just raise the awareness. You know, I think there's we don't want that experience for you. So, you know, we need to know when they come up.
Yeah, thank you.
Always check if that developer has an active support channel, and they're typically on Discord all the time, and yeah, some of them are really active.
All right, thanks so much for the Q&A. That's all the time we have, unfortunately. Just very briefly, like, can people reach you through email or things like that for more questions?
Email, LinkedIn, if you want. I've got cards with me, so I'm happy to hand those out so you have my direct contact information.
Maybe we'll make ourselves available, probably by the site, so feel free to reach out to us. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.